it's mental wealth is what life's all about rather than just wealth. By my sort of second and third properties, I was doing some pretty heavy strip out. I was pretty much a hands-on person. I was an ex-naval engineer. I offered 32 grand for it and the guy accepted. Someone else came along and offered 35, which was the asking price for cash, ours mortgage, and he didn't accept. I was like, this is bizarre. Like, why would he do that?
Oh, what a show. That's Bristol out the way. Our next stop is Birmingham on the 16th of July. Then on to Manchester on the 10th of September, and we'll be finishing the year in Leeds on the 8th of October. Why would you attend the show? Well, we have multiple expert speakers, industry-leading businesses exhibiting, and ample opportunity to network with fellow developers and investors. The best thing? Tickets are free. You can book your ticket today by heading to our website, propertydevelopershow.co.uk. I look forward to seeing you there. Welcome to another episode of To The Point. Paul, welcome to The Point. For those that you that obviously at home that don't know, and for yourself, to explain To The Point, it's very much what it says on the tin. I ask you a question, you to the point, answer the question. You get 2 minutes to answer that specific question.
Have we got a little clock like did it. Boo.
I haven't quite got that theme. I'm not sure I can copyright that. I'll probably get in trouble with YouTube for having that. So, how did you learn about property?
On the job. First property, stripping wallpaper and just labouring on. Mum and Dad helped me, and Nana and Grandpa and all of that kind of stuff to get on the ladder. And then by my sort of second and third properties, I was doing some pretty heavy strip outs and sort of learning joinery. But I was pretty much a hands-on person. I was an ex-naval engineer, and so I was fairly handy anyway. And on leaving my naval career, actually later on, I ended up doing all sorts of courses in plumbing, brickwork, joinery, decorating. The Royal Navy actually asked me to stop doing courses in the end. They're like, right, you've had enough. I was like literally at Catterick, a few miles away for 6 months doing courses. But literally the first 5 properties I did, and one of those involved taking the full front of it off and building it back up. We was just labouring for the tradies and asking them a shitload of questions. And if any tradie had a problem with me asking him a load of questions, I'd just swap him out for another one because I wanted to learn, you know. And yeah, that's that.
Nice. Happy days. Quick answer. Next question. What is your favourite property strategy and why?
My favourite property strategy, I'm pretty much bored of all the old ones, the HMO, the buy-to-let, the SA. I've never really liked SA, to be fair. I've always thought it was way too much work for the reward. My property strategies going forward now are children's homes. Bigger properties, much bigger spend, much more professional knowledge needed getting through Ofsted, and with adults care it's going to be CQC, all completely compliance related, which I'm not the most kind of admin driven compliant type person. I always like sail fairly close to the wind, I guess, and that's why I've got business partners to come in and now deliver that bit. I'm like, I'll deliver the buildings. So if I give someone half of a business and half the equity in the building and they're like that, why would you be so generous? I'm like, well, because you're going to be doing most of the work. It's just up to me to deliver the property, and that to me is the easy bit. So I fully intend to just concentrate on that strategy now, and also building industrial units in the future. I built an industrial estate in 2008 and it was a really great job. Bought the land for 80 grand, paid the man for it a year later. In the meanwhile, got planning on it. Uplift was to 220. Then I went to the bank with that asset that hadn't cost me anything at that point, borrowed another 600 grand, build £1 million worth of industrial units with that 600 grand and left them to sit there for a while. Wow. Sold those a couple of years ago for a nice profit, but I'd like to do those again.
Nice. Yeah, happy days. So bigger projects,
Kids' homes.
Kids' homes, that's it.
Also, primary schools for special educational needs kids. Nice. That's something that's a big goal of mine.
Great stuff. Happy days. I like that answer. Next question. How did your first deal go?
It's a really funny old thing, actually. I ended up, there was this 3-bed house in Darlington for 35 grand. My mum was the estate agent and she was keen for me to buy property, or one property at least, to sort of get on the ladder. And after my 4th or 5th, she was like, Paul, you can stop now, please, stop getting in so much debt. And I was like, no, I'm on a roll now, Mum, sorry. and I was having to circumvent her to get deals off her colleagues and other estate agents, by the way. But first deal I got, I offered 32 grand for it, and the guy accepted. And someone else came along and offered 35, which was the asking price for cash, ours mortgage, and he didn't accept. And I was like, how bizarre. And the people then, it was a brother and sister combo, which is a bit weird, but they offered then 36 for cash. And he turned around to me and said, look, son, if you go up to 33, the difference is the same as yesterday. It doesn't matter what they offer, the house is yours. And I was like, this is bizarre. Like, why would he do that? And it turned out that the guy's dad had buggered off to Thailand with some a fancy woman, and rang his son from Thailand saying, leaving his mum in the lurch, by the way, son, can you sell that house on Harding Terrace because I need the money? And he wasn't particularly keen for his dad to get full price, and he wasn't particularly keen for it to happen very quickly. So he, complete, against what would normally happen, but
wow,
I was lucky.
Absolutely. Well, you create your own luck, don't you? Great stuff. It's a good story. So, next question. What's your favourite property or business book? Because I know you like different books.
Yeah, I really love... the Midas Method is a great... Like, such a lot of these books out there, they don't actually teach you exactly how to set goals, exactly how to meditate, exactly how to relax and what to visualize and all of that kind of stuff. The Midas Method is a great book. It was written in the 80s, so when the guy talks about his £300,000 house and his 25 grand car, he means like 100 and odd grand car and a whatever £1 million house plus. But yeah, so you've got to extrapolate the figures forwards a bit, but it's just a great little book. I'm a massive fan of Daniel Priestley and the way that he goes on. And of course, the great thing about all these books now is that you can see all these authors on podcasts and all of that kind of stuff. I'm completely addicted to Audible. I've got way more. If I started listening to all of my Audible books again from start to finish, I'd be dead by the time I'd finished them. But it's my aim to get back up into the mountains in my camper van snowboarding. And when I used to do that for like seasons, I used to get so much meditation done, so much book reading done, so much poddy listening to. It was absolutely brilliant. So I'm sort of hiving them all up for one day. But Daniel Priestley is a fantastic author. Who else do I follow? I would get my phone out and reel off a load, but it's over there. Who else do I listen to? There's Noah Kagan, Millionaire Weekend, I think is a brilliant book. I'm going to give you a list. I've got when I do a chat on creative deals or whatever at other networking events, I do a list of 25 book recommendations.
Go and get it for the listeners. Yeah, we've got a bit of time.
Let me see if I've got the slide. Cocky.
Often.
Right, so The Midas Method, Stuart Goldsmith, Measure What Matters, John Doerr, absolute belting book. The War of Art, Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield, How to Be a Productivity Ninja, Graham Alcott, KPI, Oversubscribed, Entrepreneurial Revolution, 24 Assets by Daniel Priestley, Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte, and ADHD Must, How to Love Yourself, Teal Swan, The Everyday Hero Manifesto, Robin Sharma, The Mountain Is You, Brianna West, The Purpose Factor, Brian and Gabrielle Bosch, Find Your Why, Simon Sinek, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, Radical Candor, Kim Scott, The Power of Consistency, Weldon Long, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, absolute beast. Get him on every podcast you can possibly listen to him on. Leadership from the Inside Out, Kevin Cashman, No Bad Parts, Richard Schwartz. And follow all of these authors, Stephen Bartlett, Todd Herman, Jim Rohn, Jack Black, W. Edwards Deming, Nir Ehal, Jordan Peterson, Nassim Taleb, Byron Katie, Ben Horowitz, Peter Thiel, Ryan Holiday,
nice,
Edward de Bono, nice. And the best expression I've heard from an author is from a guy called Alain de Botton, and he says the worst thing about going on holiday is that you've got to take yourself with you. Yeah. Brilliant stuff.
Amazing. Jim Rohn, one of my absolute favourites. I used to literally, before like audiobook or podcast was a thing, used to have SoundCloud, if you ever had that. I used to have this clip from Jim, I think he did like a seminar, recorded it, Jim Rohn. And I used to literally just have that on. I had like a 2002 Fiesta, like complete cheap out, sort of just saving money at the time. And I had one of them like FM adjusts the things that you put into the cigarette lighter, and then that connects to your radio, so you'd have like a shared frequency. So that's how I could like get the obviously SoundCloud on my car.
Brilliant.
And it used to be like all the stuff like, you know, if you want to make a living, work hard at your job. If you want to make a fortune, work hard on yourself. And or just every day just listen to that. I used to listen to a bit of Will Smith before he fucked his career up, and just some of the stuff he was saying, you know, like life's about just brick by brick edging towards that success sort of thing. And yeah, all that kind of stuff, like the more you do, like the better, really.
Tell you who's brilliant as well, Scott. Jimmy Carr's got a fantastic book out. I can't remember the name of it, but his book's brilliant. You know, he's a fantastic, like, modern day philosopher. I mean, a fantastic podcast to listen to. Is a guy, he's funnily enough from Stockton, originally up by me, a guy called Chris Williamson, has the Modern Wisdom podcast.
Oh yeah.
What a fantastic kind of modern philosopher he is. And he has some fantastic guests on as well. You know, it's like, and when you're listening to all that personal development stuff, like, you come across very few people. I mean, it's a lot more popular now, but like when I've got an old classic car and I love to run around in it because it's kind of modern enough to be real reliable and comfortable, but it's also got a CD player in it. And I take all my Jack Black Mindstar stuff with me and kind of re-listen to all of that stuff. But it's funny, isn't it? Like when you're a young'un and you're into that kind of stuff, like, it makes you feel a bit unique in a way because nobody else is into that stuff, hardly at all. And there was a study done, I think it's called the Harvard study, you know, and those people that actually wrote the goals down and you know, recited them every day, ended up being like, it was only ever 5% of people, but then those 5% of people ended up with more net worth than all of the rest of them. And look, it's not all about net worth, is it? It's like we could get into the finance chat and it's absolute bollocks, net worth, to be fair. It's mental wealth is what life's all about rather than just wealth. But yeah, the old cliche, money does buy freedom.
Absolutely.
So it's about having enough, isn't it?
Yeah,
and what is enough?
I agree. I didn't want to put the timer on that one because I knew it was going to be a good answer. Because I knew you'd have some good books.
I feel deeply honoured that we're getting more than the hour. Like, so fair play.
So next question: name 3 property people who inspire you.
Okay, I can't keep this to just 3 because I'm bound to upset someone. But off the top of my head, and I apologise if I do, and I'll be driving home messaging people saying, I really wish you'd have been on this list. I'll remember them on the way home. But people I admire, although he sounds a bit like Zippy and he can be a little bit grating sometimes, I think Rob Moore is a beast of knowledge and his journey has been fantastic in a short space of time, what he's achieved, a relatively short space of time in the businesses that he's achieved. I admire a Scottish friend of mine, and he'll get a massive thrill out of this, Jerry Alexander, for cracking on, having a great podcast, being consistent, not holding back on, you know, his particular tough times and what have you. And he's a great commercial property investor, and he's got some big old kahunas on him. A fella called John Paul up by me is a friend of mine. Just having a meeting with him yesterday, you know, an hour meeting that ends up lasting 2.5 because we're just a pair of gobshites, and he's a very, very clever man. From coming from not a right lot to being, you know, mergers and acquisitions and tech startups now, and also running, you know, big property companies and being, you know, director of, you know, property market and stuff like that. A fella called Guillaume Black for kind of circumventing the property journey and getting straight into prop tech and doing what he's done with Property Filter, of which I have my Property Filter pad today. I won't bother showing you that. and a guy who, again, it's like people's intelligence that I really revere, you know, coming from that school environment of not doing particularly well and being more emotionally intelligent than IQ intelligent. I really kind of revere people's ability to hold and recycle and purpose knowledge. And a guy, Adam Lawrence, is a particular kind of people's champion, property champion, and the portfolio he's built and the Sunday supplement that he does every week. He's just, and the way he puts stuff, you know, I've got the hooter. Yeah, so Adam Lawrence is a beast as well, so, and he knows it.
Great stuff. Happy days. Final question. Name 4 people, dead or alive, you'd have a sit-down meal with.
Right, okay. Daniel Priestley. I think he's an absolute beast of knowledge and a lovely guy. Did you see his recent interview with that DOAC and the Gary Gary Stevenson. He really held his own fantastically. And how he kept his composure and didn't reach across the table and grab him, I don't know. Chris Williamson, who is a local lad from up by me, I just mentioned, who now lives in not Atlanta, Austin, Texas, who does the Modern Wisdom podcast. I just revere his knowledge and his ability to recycle read knowledge. He's brilliant. I think I've gone for a little bit of a cliche answer maybe here in Richard Branson. I'd love to sort of sit down and just talk to him about his dyslexia and potential ADHD and how it's been an absolute, people kind of talk about it being a superpower in some respects, but people like him really have made it the superpower. There's 99% of other ADHDers that haven't, that I'd love to empower to embrace it. But, and another guy, I think, just from a pure, I love what he said. Winston Churchill is my fourth one. I love what he said to a woman. If wit was shit, he'd be constipated. But he said to this woman one time, she said, if you were my husband, I'd poison you. And he said, if you were my wife, I would drink it. Yeah, we could have some fun conversations with those four.
Amazing. No, great stuff. Yeah, I couldn't... I really couldn't decide who I'd have around my table, but there's certainly four contenders. Absolutely great stuff.
Perfect.
Well, I appreciate you coming on for To The Point. It's pretty well kept to the point, apart from the book question, but I think that was much needed because there's some great recommendations there for sure.
Pile a few more in there, to be fair. They were kind of from about 2 years ago, to be fair. There's a few more belters, but anytime you want to do a sequel, mate, give us a nod.
Great stuff. Thanks.
Okay, fella.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you've had a good episode there with To The Point, and we'll see you again for another one. Take care. Goodbye.